The Soviet Union built a spacecraft designed to survive on the surface of Venus for exactly 23 minutes before melting into slag. They sent 14 of them. Welcome to the most metal space program in human history. If that doesn't make you want to smash that subscribe button, I don't know what will. We're diving deep into cosmic mysteries every single day on this channel. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming tomorrow. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep uncovering the mysteries together. The seduction of Venus, the most dangerous place in our solar system. So here's the thing about Venus. It looks beautiful from Earth, bright, shining. The Romans named it after the goddess of love and beauty. But Venus is hell, literally. We're talking about a planet where the atmospheric pressure is 92 times stronger than Earth. That's like being 900 meters underwater, in the ocean. Except the ocean is made of sulfuric acid clouds, and it's 475 degrees Celsius on the surface. That's 900 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. Hot enough to melt lead. Hot enough to turn a steel probe into a crushed tin can in minutes. But back in the 1960 seconds, nobody knew that yet. The dream of a twin Earth. Picture this. It's 1961. The space race is on. The Cold War is at its peak. America and the Soviet Union are throwing everything they've got at conquering space. And both superpowers are eyeing Venus like it's the grand prize. Why Venus? Because from Earth, Venus looked promising. It's almost exactly the same size as Earth. Similar mass, similar gravity. It's got a thick atmosphere, which everyone thought might trap heat and moisture. Scientists in the 1950 seconds were legitimately theorizing about jungles on Venus, swamps, maybe even dinosaurs. I'm not making this up. Carl Sagan himself, in his early career, speculated about life in the Venusian clouds. Venus was Earth's twin sister, our cosmic neighbor, and whoever got there first would make the discovery of the century. The Soviets wanted that glory bad. The 12th of February, 1961, the first shot on the 12th of February, 1961, the Soviet Union launched Venera 1. Venera means Venus in Russian, by the way. Just straight up named the whole program after the planet. No fancy acronyms, no beating around the bush. This was a 644 kilogram probe, and it was ambitious. The plan? Fly past Venus, take measurements, send back data, maybe even drop a capsule onto the surface if everything went perfectly. Spoiler alert, everything did not go perfectly. 7 days into the mission, Venera 1 lost contact with Earth, just gone. It still flew past Venus on the 19th of May, 1961, passing within 100,000 kilometers of the planet. But without communication, it was basically a very expensive piece of space junk. The Soviets didn't give up. They couldn't. This was about more than science now. This was about pride. The Americans strike first. Sort of. Fast forward to the 14th of December, 1962, NASA launches Mariner 2. And on December 14, Mariner 2 completes the first successful flyby of Venus, passing within 34,773 kilometers of the planet. The data it sends back, absolutely devastating to the jungle theory. Surface temperature, 237 degrees Celsius. That's 459 degrees Fahrenheit. No magnetic field. Dense, toxic atmosphere. No water. Venus wasn't a lush paradise. It was a hellscape. But here's the thing about the Soviets. Bad news just made them more determined. If Venus was hell, then they'd build a probe that could survive hell. Failure is not an option. Venera 3, the kamikaze mission. The 16th of November, 1965. The Soviet Union launches Venera 3. This time, they're not messing around. This probe is designed to actually land on Venus, to physically touch the surface of another planet. It's carrying a Soviet pennant, like a flag, but metal. Because if this thing is going to crash on Venus, it's going to crash with style. On the 1st of March, 1966, Venera 3 becomes the first human-made object to reach the surface of another planet. But here's the catch. It lost communication during descent. So yes, technically, the Soviet Union was the first to put something on Venus, but they had no idea what happened to it. No data, no photos, no triumphant radio signal, just silence. Still, it counted, and the Soviets were absolutely going to take that win. Venera 4, the first real data. The 18th of October, 1967. Venera 4 launches, and this time, the Soviets have learned from their mistakes. This probe is tough, reinforced, designed to withstand immense pressure and heat. On the 18th of October, 1967, Venera 4 enters the Venusian atmosphere, and for 93 minutes, it sends back data. Temperature readings, atmospheric composition, pressure measurements. The probe detects carbon dioxide, lots of it. Like 90% of the atmosphere is CO2. But then, about 25 kilometers above the surface, Venera 4 just stops. The pressure crushed it. The Soviets had built what they thought was an indestructible probe. Venus destroyed it anyway, but they got data. Precious, invaluable data. And that data told them something terrifying. Venus was way worse than they thought. Venera 5 and 6, double trouble, January 5 and the 10th of January 1969. The Soviets launched 2 probes within 5 days of each other, Venera 5 and Venera 6. Both are designed to survive longer than Venera 4. Both are reinforced even more. On the 16th of May, 1969, Venera 5 enters the atmosphere. It transmits for 53 minutes before being crushed at an altitude of 24 kilometers. The very next day, the 17th of May, 1969, Venera 6 follows. It lasts 51 minutes, dies at 10 kilometers above the surface. At this point, the Soviet engineers are probably losing their minds. They keep making the probes stronger, tougher, more heat resistant, and Venus keeps eating them alive. But the Soviets? They're not quitters. The 17th of August, 1970, the day everything changed. Venera 7 launches on the 17th of August, 1970. This probe is a beast. It's designed to withstand temperatures up to 540 degrees Celsius and pressures up to 180 atmospheres. The Soviets are basically saying, okay, Venus, you want to play rough? Let's play rough. On the 15th of December, 1970, Venera 7 enters the Venusian atmosphere. It deploys a parachute to slow its descent. And then something miraculous happens. It lands. For 23 minutes, Venera 7 transmits from the surface of Venus. The first successful soft landing on another planet. The temperature, 475 degrees Celsius. The pressure, 90 atmospheres. Venera 7 didn't send back pictures. The signal was weak, but it was there. The Soviet Union had done it. They touched hell and lived to tell about it, seeing the devil's face. Venera 8, the light at the end of the tunnel. The 27th of March, 1972. Venera 8 launches with an upgraded mission. Survive longer, learn more. On the 22nd of July, 1972, it lands on Venus, and this time it transmits for 50 minutes and 11 seconds. That's more than double Venera 7's lifespan. But here's the wild part. Venera 8 detects sunlight on the surface. Up until this point, scientists thought the clouds were so thick that the surface would be in complete darkness. Nope. Turns out, Venus gets about the same amount of light as Earth on a cloudy day. Which means one thing: photography is possible. The Soviets immediately started designing cameras. Venera 9 and 10, the first photos from hell. June 8 and the 14th of June 1975, the Soviet Union launches Venera 9 and Venera 10 5 days apart. These aren't just landers. These are orbiters with landers. Each spacecraft has two parts. One to orbit Venus and relay data, and one to land on the surface and take pictures. On the 22nd of October 1975, Venera 9 becomes the first spacecraft to orbit Venus. And on that same day, its lander touches down. For 53 minutes, it transmits, and then humanity sees Venus for the first time. The photo shows a rocky, barren landscape, sharp stones, flat rocks. No sky visible because of the camera angle, but you can see the surface clearly. It looks like a construction site or a quarry, but it's another planet. 3 days later, on the 25th of October 1975, Venera 10 lands about 2,200 kilometers away. Its photo shows smoother terrain, flatter rocks, like a volcanic plain. Two different views of the same hellish world. The Soviet Union had just done what many thought impossible. They'd taken photos on the surface of Venus. Venera 11 and 12, the sound of Venus. September 9 and the 14th of September 1978. Venera 11 and Venera 12 launch with microphones on board. Yes, microphones. The Soviets wanted to hear Venus. On December 25 and the 21st of December 1978, respectively, both probes land. They transmit for 95 minutes and 110 minutes. And for the first time, humans hear the sound of wind on another planet. It's a low rumble, a hiss, like standing next to a highway in a windstorm, but filtered through sulfuric acid clouds. Unfortunately, the cameras on both probes failed, but the Soviets had recorded Venus's voice. That's still pretty incredible. Venera 13 and 14, the color of hell, October 30 and the 4th of November 1981. Venera 13 and Venera 14 launched 9 days apart. These are the most advanced probes yet. Color cameras, soil drills, microphones, the works. On the 1st of March 1982, Venera 13 lands on Venus. It transmits for 127 minutes. That's over 2 hours on Venus, and it sends back the first color photos from the surface. The sky is orange. The rocks are dark brown and gray. Everything has this sickly, sulfurous glow, but it's gorgeous in its own terrifying way. Venera 13 also drills into the soil and analyzes it. The composition, similar to volcanic ash, basaltic rock, like you'd find on Earth near a volcano or on the ocean floor. Venus, it turns out, is geologically similar to Earth, just cranked up to 1,000. 4 days later, on the 5th of March 1982, Venera 14 lands. It survives for 57 minutes and sends back more color photos. The terrain is different, rockier, more jagged, but it's the same hellish world. The end of an era. The final missions. After Venera 14, the Soviet Union sent 2 more landers, Venera 15 and 16 inches 1,983. But these were orbiters designed for radar mapping, not surface missions. The last probe to successfully land on Venus was Venera, 14 inches, 1,982. After that, silence. The Venera program quietly ended. Why did they stop? So here's the question. Why? The Soviets had perfected landing on Venus. They'd taken photos, recorded sounds, analyzed soil. Why give up? 3 reasons. Reason 1, Venus wins. No matter how advanced the probes got, Venus destroyed them in under 2 hours. The most successful lander, Venera 13, lasted 127 minutes. That's it. For all the engineering brilliance, all the reinforced hulls and cooling systems, Venus always won. And the Soviets realized something. There's only so much you can learn in 2 hours. Reason 2, the Soviet Union collapsed. By the late 1980 seconds, the Soviet economy was crumbling. The space program was running out of money, and Venus missions were expensive. Each Venera probe cost millions of rubles. And for what? A handful of photos and a couple hours of data? The cost-benefit analysis just didn't add up anymore. Reason 3, NASA changed the game. While the Soviets were building landers, NASA was building something smarter, long-duration orbiters. In 1989, NASA launched Magellan, a radar mapping orbiter that spent 4 years studying Venus from above. It mapped 98% of the planet's surface in incredible detail, and it did it without ever touching the hellish surface. The Soviets looked at that and thought, maybe we've been doing this the hard way. The legacy of Venera. Between 1961 and 1984, the Soviet Union launched 28 missions to Venus. 16 of them were part of the Venera program. 10 of those successfully transmitted data from the surface or atmosphere. That's a 62.5% success rate, which in space exploration terms is phenomenal. The Venera program gave us the first probe to reach another planet's surface, the first soft landing on another planet, the first photos from another planet's surface, the first sounds recorded on another planet, the first color photos from another planet. All of this happened over 40 years ago. And here's the crazy part. We haven't been back since. The last 40 years. Since Venera 14 inches 1982, only a handful of missions have visited Venus. NASA's Magellan Orbiter 1994, ESA's Venus Express 2006 to 2014, Japan's Akatsuki Orbiter 2015 present. But nobody has landed. In 4 decades, nobody has touched the surface of Venus. Why? Because it's still too hard, too expensive, too dangerous. Modern technology is better than 1980 seconds. Soviet tech? Sure, but Venus is still Venus. And Venus doesn't care about your technology. The future of Venus exploration. What's next? Here's where it gets interesting. In the 2030s, both NASA and the European Space Agency are planning new Venus missions. NASA's Veritas and Da Vinci Plus missions aim to study the atmosphere and surface using advanced orbiters and atmospheric probes. ESA's Envision will use next-generation radar to study Venus's geology. And there's even talk of a Russian-led Venera D mission, though funding remains uncertain. But here's the real question. Will we ever send humans to Venus? Probably not to the surface. That's suicide. But floating cities in the upper atmosphere, where the temperature is a balmy 25 degrees Celsius and the pressure is Earth-like, that's actually possible. Crazy, right? Venus might be hell on the surface, but 50 kilometers up, it's the most Earth-like environment in the solar system besides Earth itself. Some scientists think Venus colonization could happen before Mars. No way, you say? Way. So here's what we know. Venus is the most hostile place in our solar system. The Soviet Union built probes that could survive there for barely 2 hours. They took photos, recorded sounds, analyzed rocks, and then they stopped. For 40 years, Venus has been sitting there, largely unexplored. The surface remains one of the greatest mysteries in our solar system. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. What if we're looking at Venus all wrong? What if the surface isn't where the answers are? What if the real discovery is floating in those sulfuric acid clouds 50 kilometers up, where the conditions are just right Well, that's a story for tomorrow. If you want to find out what scientists recently discovered in Venus's atmosphere that has everyone freaking out, you need to click subscribe right now. Hit that bell, smash that like button, because tomorrow's episode is gonna blow your mind.